Welcome to Basic Law, the place you get to learn law in short and in simple words. This is your host Indu. Stay tuned till the end and do leave your feedback. We would love to know what you would like to hear more and more on this channel. Divorce is getting more and more rampant in India. So on today's show, we're going to deal with what are the grounds for divorce under Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Before we begin the grounds, you have to know who can apply for divorce under the Hindu Marriage Act. A husband or a wife who got married prior to or after the commencement of the act can petition to the court having jurisdiction to dissolve the marriage by decree of divorce. Now let's begin the grounds. Some of the grounds which arise out of judicial separation and exclusive to wife will be dealt with in another session. Spousal cheating. If the spouse, that is the husband or wife as defined under the Act, cheats on their spouse, the spouse who has been cheated upon can file for divorce. The term cheat is used for the purpose of simple understanding. In common parlance, that is. The actual legal term in the Act used is voluntary sexual intercourse. Cruelty is another ground for seeking divorce. It can be mental or physical cruelty. What constitutes mental cruelty we will discuss on another day. Desertion is another ground. If the petitioner has been deserted by their spouse for 2 years before the presentation of the petition to the court, that also is a ground for divorce. If the spouse is converted into another religion, then he ceased to be a Hindu, and the aggrieved spouse can approach the court to seek for divorce under the grounds that their spouse has ceased to be a Hindu. If the spouse has been incurably of unsound mind or has been suffering continuously or intermittently from mental disorder of such a kind and to such an extent that the petitioner cannot reasonably be expected to live with the respondent, then that becomes another ground for you to approach the court for divorce. The terms mental disorder and psychopathic disorder is explained in the Act, which we will deal with in another session. If one spouse suffers from a virulent and incurable form of leprosy, or has been suffering from a venereal disease, that is sexually transmitted disease, and it's in communicable form, that is, they are infectious in nature, then that also becomes a ground for divorce. If the spouse has renounced the world by entering a religious order, then that becomes a ground for divorce too. Say if someone hasn't heard from the other, that is, one of the spouse has not heard from the other spouse to be alive for a period of 7 years or more, then that also becomes a ground to approach the court for a divorce decree. And these are the grounds for divorce under Hindu Marriage Act. And thus you've reached the end of today's session. Subscribe and stay tuned. I shall see you right here at the same time next week.